Patterson Foundation
strengthens people, organizations, and communities by focusing on issues that address mutual aspirations,
foster wide participation, and encourage learning and sharing.
Welcome to Guided by Our Values, a Beyond the Blog podcast of the Patterson Foundation. Hi, I'm Kiarra Louis, the Patterson Foundation's Leadership Support Coordinator, and your host today. In each episode of Guided by Our Values, we'll be exploring how the Patterson Foundation's values guide its approach to philanthropy, demonstrating its collaborative philosophy and tenets of change throughout its 20-plus initiatives. Joining me today for this conversation is Debra Jacobs, President and CEO of the Patterson Foundation. Debra, welcome to the podcast.
Well, happy to be here.
Before we dive into the why and the how, let's start with the what, specifically one particular phrase that our listeners are going to hear a lot today, and it's going to be the focus of today's conversation, and that is proven practices. The Patterson Foundation strengthens people, organizations, and communities in ways that foster widespread participation around shared quality of life aspirations, and much of its philanthropic efforts focus on strengthening Charlotte, DeSoto, Manatee, and Sarasota counties. However, TPF's approach to philanthropy works beyond traditional geographic boundaries, tapping into expansive networks and movements working towards shared aspirations. Learning insights and proven practices from broader networks, TPF then applies them to strengthen initiatives locally. And there goes that term again, proven practices rather than best practices. Debra, I know TPF is very intentional, especially in its use of words, so please with us the why do we use the term proven practices rather than best practices?
When we think about, I'm going to actually go back to our origin, because Mrs. Patterson created this foundation with an unfettered charter. What does that mean? There's no specific geographic focus, no issue focus, no organizational focus, rather to do good and to do it well. She provided the foundation flexibility, opportunity, and responsibility to make a difference. So this, when you can do anything at all, it's actually even harder to decide what you will do and how you will do it. The Patterson Foundation has learned, we use something called CLSES, Connect, Learn, Share, Evolve, Strengthen. We have learned that we can't be the be-all and the end-all to everything, so we look for proven practices that are out there. When you say best is, in my definition, it's a time-sensitive issue. It may be best this month, but we live in a changing world, so it may not be best forever. So we say proven practices because there is evidence that has shown this works. And that's important to the Patterson Foundation because when we use proven practices, when we work with national thought leaders, those who've already done it, those who've already invested many, many dollars in evaluation, the Patterson Foundation can take those proven practices, bring them foster-wide participation, but we don't have to spend a lot of money on evaluation. We are in a continuous evolving mode, and so having a proven practice, we don't have to spend money on evaluation. We can spend money on embedding it and spreading it in our region.
Thank you for sharing that, and especially for that little history tidbit for those of our listeners who may not be familiar with the Patterson Foundation's origins. That federal charter probably explains why there's such a diversity amongst the 20-plus initiatives from Patriot Plaza to Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading, DeSoto County Ahead, and so on, so on. As you mentioned, the focus of this podcast is going to be proven practices, and there is not a shortage of examples of how TPF is leveraging national proven practices by bringing them down to the Suncoast region, making a few tweaks and modifications to add that touch of what we like to call TPF sparkle, and adding a layer of excellence. And that's exactly why all of that was captured in a report that is titled Proven Practices, applying national practices locally. And this report, as you will see on the screen as it's flipping through, identifies and examines 10 instances where TPF has worked with national organizations to catalyze efforts towards shared aspiration by doing 3 key things. First, connecting with these national agencies and learning about a given proven practice that's happening beyond the Suncoast. 2, applying the proven practice and evolving it to align with our efforts here to strengthen the Suncoast. And 3, sharing what we've learned in our evolved model of that proven practice backed with the national agency to help improve their efforts and what they're doing nationally. Although there are 10 instances of proven practices shared in the report, we are not going to discuss each of them today, but I thought I'd focus on 3 that our listeners may be familiar with, may not be familiar with. The first one I wanted to talk about is proven practice number 3, which has to do with the village-to-village network, a model for aging in place. But I think I do want to share with the listeners that TPF has long focused on creating communities for all ages by strengthening opportunities that optimize quality of life for people across generation. And with that in mind, TPF has capitalized on its experience in work in healthy aging to incubate national and global longevity movements in its home region to localize and inform these efforts simultaneously, as shown by working with the World Health Organization's Age-Friendly Cities, the National Council on Aging's Mastery Program, and the Village to Village Network. So before we focus on the Village Network, Debra, can you please share why would a foundation in Sarasota be working with the World Health Organization's Age-Friendly Cities or the National Council on Aging?
I'm going to take this back, and actually it applies to all of our initiatives. We're using this as an example. When we have an inkling that we should work in this space, we always ask 2 questions. Who else cares? And what's possible. So when we say who else cares, that gives us an opportunity to go on a discovery where we look and say who's working in this space locally, but then beyond. Because typically when we look at national or global best practices, funding has been in place to prove what works. All right, so they are substantially strong organizations or strong with reputation or strong with funding. So that's one of the reasons that we reach up. But it's always, who else cares? And then what's possible? So in the world of, can you imagine, we're in Sarasota, Florida. The World Health Organization is located in Geneva, Switzerland. And I really don't think they wake up every day and go, what is going on in Sarasota at this time? But with the World Health Organization, they were into healthy aging for all, excellence for all ages. And they started the age-friendly movement. And so think about it. We are located in Sarasota, Florida. Our demographics are the future of the nation in terms of aging because people are living longer, we're healthier, we're learning how to do things. And as the WHO, the World Health Organization, was putting together this concept of age-friendly, and actually age-friendly means friendly for all ages, but it's a focus on older adults, it went from WHO to AARP that works across the United States to create these age-friendly communities. And it's hard to believe there were no age-friendly communities in Florida, and they were creating age-friendly states, and Florida wasn't one. So TPF had this opportunity, well, why don't we help Sarasota become an age-friendly community? And then once we learn how to do it, who else in Florida might care about it, and how can we spread it beyond that? So it's that networked thinking that you do your part of excellence, but then you bring it to where you live and you say, so what else is possible here?
And with that in mind, that idea of communities for all ages, optimizing quality of life. I do want to make a quick switch to the villages, the Village to Village Network, which is a national organization that collaborates to maximize the growth, impact, and sustainability of individual villages. And for those who may not know, when we say villages, as you will see on the screen, we're talking about a network of members aligned to support people as they age. So Debra, villages are a proven practice known for enhancing long-term care networks and filling gaps in our social services systems. But how and why did TPF support bringing that concept to the Sarasota area? Because I think that's one proven practice that people may not be as familiar with.
Mm-hmm. Well, and actually the whole village to village movement, it's an evolving. There is not one way that a village works. And one of the things that is undergirds how TPF thinks about things, it's everybody's got great ideas. But the question is there financial thrivability to make those ideas stick? And that has been one of the learnings that has been going around with the village to village movement nationally. Is it a subscription model? Is it a membership model? Is it a great funded model? Is it a government funded model? So there is no one way to do it. It depends on what your geography and people, business organizations, and government, what are they interested in doing? So again, looking for those successes is part of TPF's discovery that we can again bring it to a community. Why our 4 counties? People are moving here every day who are interested in having a vibrant fourth quarter of their life or whatever you would think about as an older adult. And there is no shortage of excellence and passion for people who are either aging in place here or choosing this as their community. So we felt it was important for people here to be aware of the concept and what's possible.
Thank you for sharing that. And the great thing is, it's a practice that has proven to work. So why not bring it down here so that it can continue to work for those people who live in our region, who we know are aging, as we all are.
Yes.
So now let's move on to proven practice number 5, which more people may be familiar with, which is the National Campaign for Grade Level Reading, CGLR. First, as we think of leadership, willingness, readiness, capacity, and culture, LWRCC, what has made the collaborative efforts between TPF and CGLR successful over the many years?
One of the aspects of the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, the national network, again, there is no single program, single organization, single policy that helps children be successful. It truly does take a village. It takes every sector, people, organization, people, nonprofits, business, government, and media to help all children be successful. What was intriguing to the Patterson Foundation about the national movement is it was not a top-down, you must do it this way. It was rather letting communities who wanted to be part of the network have access to proven practices. So in the world of whether it is early childhood development or attendance in school or out-of-school time excellence, the national campaign built relationships with the proven practices that really will work well. And then the Suncoast campaign, led by Beth Duda, could say, okay, let's try and bring this to our region and see if it works. And one of the best examples, a tangible one, is attendance works. The theory is that, first of all, you have to be in school to learn, to be successful. And the data shows that if you miss more than 20% of school, you're not going to be successful. You're going to fall back all the time. Attendance Works had a bountiful file cabinet of proven practices that worked in terms of public policy, in terms of what schools could do, what parents can do. So we were able to download what would work in our region and do it even better.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure we have learned a lot from CGLR, but I think what's also interesting is that as much as we have learned, SCGLR has been able to share back with CGLR. For example, TPF has presented at CGLR's funder to funder conversations, engaging funders leading and investing in their 350 community coalitions across the state, all investing in this work on a broader scale. In 2024, you moderated a conversation called Catalytic Leadership in Philanthropy, helping lean funders unleash their full potential. I think just recently, SCGLR was featured in a national video that CGLR did, once again just showing the innovative things that the Suncoast region is doing that other counties, states might be considering that they could apply in their communities to make an impact there as well. So that's exciting to see that happening.
Well, and it's a tribute to Beth Dudah's leadership that I would say, not daily maybe, but weekly throughout the month, other communities are calling her to say, we heard about this. Please share with us. And we share, whether it's through podcasts or whether it's through blogs or newsletters. So we have toolkits that people can borrow.
And going back to CLSES, specifically sharing, I think sometimes, when we talk about the concept of sharing our cookies, sometimes we may innately have a desire to keep our cookies to ourselves, either because we want our community to be the best and X, Y, and Z. But why is TPF always so open to sharing what we're doing, why we're doing it, how it's working, why it's not working, and the like, whereas so many people might want to keep that a secret out of fear, ruining reputations, or et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I'm going to go back to this unfettered charter that we have. We had that flexibility, opportunity, and that responsibility to do more than just do. We feel we have a responsibility to do, learn, share what doesn't work, help people not waste effort and time. We always say time's the non-renewable resource. I mean, if we've learned something, we owe it to share to people. And I do want to always take advantage of when we bring up the cookie analogy to help our viewers, listeners really ponder. Every person is a cookie jar. Every organization's a cookie jar, but we'll do the people one right now. And inside that cookie jar, each one of us we have experiences, we have values, we have knowledge, we have assets. And we feel at the Patterson Foundation we need to share those. And why we use the cookie jar analogy, you brought it up yourself. Sometimes people like to keep the lid on their cookies and keep them for themselves. But what happens when you keep the lid on your cookie jar? The cookies in there get stale. But if I take the lid off and I share some of my knowledge, values, experiences, maybe you'll share some of yours. And together there's more abundance of what's possible. So it's back into that TPF responsibility to do more than. We must go above and beyond at every opportunity.
Thank you for sharing that, Debra. If I had to summarize that in one word, we share because it's TPF's responsibility to share. So I really love that and learned something new in that area. As we wrap up our conversation on proven practice number 3, Debra, I'd like to share a remark that Miriam Shark, who is with the National Campaign for Grade Level Reading, had shared after reading the report, which is echoing Ralph's comment about this missive being a wonderful way to start the week, all the more appreciated when there's so much that isn't wonderful. Reading the report reminded me how much more to TPF there is beyond a SCGLR. Itself is a monumental achievement. One thing the report doesn't reflect, though, in my opinion, is the way that TPF's collaborative, intentional, results-focused approach to landing proven practices locally provides such a vivid example and inspiration to others to do the same in their communities. Debra, how do comments like this reaffirm the work that TPF does now and energizes you for the work that's still left to be done ahead?
Well, again, TPF focuses on what's possible, not the did people say nice things about us. It's a bonus when someone does say something supportive and affirming of what we do. I do believe TPF, because of this flexibility that we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And we have learned back in the CLSES, Connect, Learn, Share, Evolve, Strengthen, we have learned it takes time to make a difference. It isn't, we work in intractable spaces that are so challenging, but we view it as so many opportunities. But we cannot transform, inspire, propel in 2 months. It takes time. It takes years. So kudos to the Patterson Foundation Governing Board for saying we're going to stay the course and make a difference. So that's another reason why proven practices are so important, because they're proven for us, so it saves us time on evaluation, but it also helps other people, after they see how we do it, go, oh, well, if it works there, I can make it work here. So it's that multi-layered reason why the Patterson Foundation does things. Yes, we want to impact our local community, and we want to share with others. Now, it's not like the whole world is sitting out there going, oh, what is the Patterson Foundation doing now, because I want to do it too. No, everybody has their own focus on how they're trying to do things. Our goal is if we can share so that you can also do your work better, we're all for it.
Thank you for sharing, Debra. Last but certainly not least, we're going to move on to proven practice number 6, which is Remake Learning Days, an innovative learning festival for families and youth. And I want to start off with something that Greg Bayer had shared after he read the report, which is, in so many ways, what's described in proven practices is what we strive to achieve in our own work. Always asking, what's world class and how we might make it better here in Pittsburgh? Which begs the question, how does TPF's approach of learning, sharing, connecting, and asking questions like who else cares and what's possible lead to discovering a new and exciting initiative and endeavor like Remake Learning Days? How did that connection even happen, especially since they're in Pittsburgh?
Well, one of the things is we have to continually show up and learn from others. So Beth went to a conference on topic XYZ, and while she was there, she heard about Remake Learning Days, and she thought, wait, this is actually what we strive to do, increasing parent engagement with the many assets every community has. And she came back and she said, could we experiment and do this? The Patterson Foundation is willing to take the risk of experimenting to see if there's stickiness in our region from a proven practice. So I said, all right, well, try it out and see how it works. And the beautiful part about TPF's geography, we work in a 4-county area. Our 4 counties couldn't be more different from each other. So if we can bring a proven practice to here and have it work in all 4 counties, it actually is like a petri dish in action for anybody else in the United States, because some communities might be rural, some communities might be very suburban, some communities may be very artsy. And so we have got this microcosm of really what the whole rest of the world is. So it's keeping our antenna up for proven practices that we can bring to our 4-county area that we're looking at. Now, I do want to let our listeners know that there's good ideas all over the place. So the Patterson Foundation can't do everything. That's not, but we can go deep on seeing how this will work. And one of the magical things that we have learned from these proven practices is the ripple effects that come out. So in the world of Suncoast Remake Learning Days, we are embarking on our 5th year. Aha! Remember, I told you it takes a lot of time. And each year we have learned, we've evolved, we've strengthened on how we work with community organizations, but the ripple effects that have happened, not just for Remake Learning Days, but for agencies to find new partners, learn how to do quality content, learn how to market activities, actually has strengthened the individual nonprofits. So again, these layers of nothing is vanilla. Everything has got chocolate chips, nuts, cherries woven into it because that's where the magic is.
That diversity, I'd like to say, is very attractive to the diversity of, as you said, the people, organizations, and communities reflected in the 4-county region. As we wrap up our conversation today, I will say, listeners, we do encourage you to read the Proven Practices Report. But yes, we understand it isn't a short read. It is about 45 pages long, but it's a beautiful layout with beautiful images demonstrating the work that's happening in the 4-county region. But knowing that you love your threes, Debra, as we end, can you share maybe just 3 reasons why people, businesses, nonprofits, government, or even media within our 4-county region and beyond might consider giving this a read?
So every day, each one of us, the 5 sectors you talk about, every day, each one of us wake up with an opportunity to use our gifts. And the more we can learn about what's going on, we don't have to feel pressure to do it alone. So number 1 is whatever you care about, don't do it alone. And maybe there's an idea in here that will spark on who you could work with. So it's never work in isolation, but work with others. I do think that the Patterson Foundation's approach to take perhaps vanilla or basic and adding layers on it sparks people to, well, I should be adding layers to what I'm doing. So number 2, one is read it because you can't do anything in isolation. We got to always learn from each other. Number 2 is think about the sparkle. You said it at the beginning of the podcast. Think of the sparkle you could add in your work. We're happy to let you borrow anything that this sparked in you. And then thirdly, as you read this report, undergirded, woven in, it's all about hope. It's all about what's possible and not getting stuck in the what is. So I think this report is a worthy read because you go, why not? And that's why I would encourage people to read it.
Thank you, Debra, for sharing and for joining me today. Listeners, to read the Proven Practices Report, please go ahead and click the QR code on your screen. And to learn more and stay tuned, please visit the PattersonFoundation.org.